Okay, so we've got a pretty big stack of articles here all about the construction industry. And wow, you've got pieces on everything from AI and digital twins to net zero retrofits and even a rammed earth cafe in Japan.
Oh, yeah.
Seems like you're really interested in the future of construction.
Yeah, definitely, especially where tech and sustainability kind of come together.
Absolutely. And speaking of reshaping things, one of the articles that caught my eye was from BIM today.
Uh,
And it really dives into this AEC tech landscape in 2025.
okay.
And it's got some predictions from an expert at Vectorworks, Luc Lefebvre.
Yeah, Vectorworks pretty popular choice for architects and designers.
Mhm.
They've been pushing the boundaries of BIM software for years now. So.
Right. And Lefebvre, he predicts that AI is going to be more than just,
Yeah.
a tool for creating fancy visuals.
Right.
He says we're going to be using generative design to come up with innovative building forms
Mhm.
and to streamline workflows,
Yeah.
which would be a game changer for architects.
I think what's important to understand about generative design is it's like having an AI partner
Yeah.
that can explore like thousands of design possibilities,
Oh, wow.
but also at the same time considering all sorts of constraints and objectives.
Right.
And I think it could lead to some really wild and creative buildings.
Yeah. And it's not just about, futuristic skyscrapers or anything like that, even residential projects.
Mm.
The article talks about how they're aiming for net zero emissions by 2040,
Wow.
which is,
Ambitious.
yeah, really ambitious. And BIM tools are going to be really crucial for making that happen.
Yeah.
Things like, analyzing the embodied carbon in materials and ensuring that buildings are truly eco-friendly.
Yeah, sustainability is no longer a nice to have, it's a must have.
Mm-hmm.
And BIM is becoming like the standard for designing buildings that are good for the planet and the people who use them.
Absolutely. And speaking of people, Lefebvre also talks about immersive tech becoming essential for engaging clients. So imagine being able to walk through your dream home in VR before a single brick is laid.
That's incredible, being able to actually experience a space before it's built.
Yeah,
That's a game changer for sure.
totally.
It'll help clients to understand the design better,
Yeah.
make really informed decisions, and ultimately avoid those costly changes down the line.
Right. Okay, so we're seeing how technology is impacting the future of design and construction.
Yeah.
But what about the way that we manage information on projects?
Okay.
So I've got some excerpts here from a book called Plain Language BIM, written by infrastructure expert Ian Miskimen.
Okay.
And it's interesting because this book came out 10 years ago.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting choice. I'm curious to see what insights still hold true today.
Yeah. Well, one thing that jumped out at me was Miskimen's argument that we're still not using BIM to its full potential, even though it's become such a buzzword.
Right.
So what do you think is holding us back?
I think a lot of it comes down to information overload.
Right.
We're just drowning in data on these construction projects.
Yeah.
And I think the real potential of BIM isn't just about having the technology.
Right.
It's about streamlining communication and getting the right information to the right people at the right time.
Yeah, he uses a simple example to illustrate this point.
Okay.
He says clients need to know that a building is safe and looks good.
Uh-huh.
Not necessarily, the exact concrete mix ratio.
Right, exactly. That level of detail, that's essential for the engineers, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But BIM should be able to filter and tailor information to each stakeholder's needs.
Yeah.
So instead of everyone getting bombarded with all this irrelevant data,
Right.
they only see what's important for their role.
And this actually ties in perfectly with another challenge that was highlighted in your sources.
Yep.
Which is just the sheer volume of data that construction projects generate.
Oh, yeah.
Plans, contracts, daily reports, change orders. It just goes on and on.
It's a lot.
Yeah, how can we make this information more manageable? Well, I think we need to move towards centralized information management.
Okay.
There are tools out there like Newforma Connect, for example,
Hmm.
that bring all of that data into one easily accessible platform.
So it's almost like a central nervous system for the entire project.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So instead of digging through file cabinets or, searching through endless emails,
Right.
you would have everything in one place.
Right up to date and easy to access.
And this leads to fewer errors,
Right.
less rework, a smoother project overall.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about something that sounds a bit more futuristic, which is digital twins.
Okay.
You've included a few articles that discuss how they're impacting the industry, and they're not just a concept from sci-fi movies anymore.
Not at all. They're becoming increasingly sophisticated and applicable to the real world, particularly in construction. And a digital twin is basically a virtual replica of a physical building that's updated with real-time data.
So how can digital twins benefit the construction industry and the people who use these buildings? The possibilities are pretty extensive. I mean, we're
Yeah.
talking about optimizing energy management by pinpointing inefficiencies, using predictive maintenance to catch problems before they become disasters,
Wow.
and even simulating emergency scenarios to plan for the unexpected.
So it's like you're building a brain to analyze and adapt and a crystal ball to see into the future.
Yeah, that's one way to
I
put it.
like that.
One of the platforms mentioned in these articles, D-Twin by Nemetschek. That's a great example because it connects BIM models with data from IoT sensors and 3D scans.
So it's not just a static model anymore.
What
It's
am
like
I-
a living, breathing digital version of the real thing.
Exactly.
That's remarkable. But what about AI's role beyond digital twins?
Oh, sure.
We hear so much about robots coming to job sites.
Yeah, robots are definitely part of the picture, but AI is going to have a much broader impact, I think.
Okay.
It's changing how projects are managed and delivered, and it's really becoming a key driver of lean construction.
And for those who aren't familiar, can you explain what lean construction is all about?
Sure. Lean construction focuses on minimizing waste and maximizing value throughout the entire construction process. And AI is becoming a really powerful tool for achieving those goals because it can analyze these massive amounts of data,
Right.
identify potential issues really early on, and help optimize workflows.
So instead of reacting to problems after they occur,
Right.
we're using AI to be proactive and prevent them in the first place.
Exactly. For example, there's a platform called BuildDots that uses AI-powered progress management to track progress in real time. And this allows teams to catch errors early on, avoid costly rework. This approach also fosters a more collaborative and respectful work environment
Okay.
because it removes a lot of the guesswork and finger-pointing that can happen on job sites.
So it's not just about efficiency.
Right.
It's about improving the way people work together.
Absolutely. AI is helping to make construction sites more efficient, but it's also helping to create this more data-driven and collaborative approach to building.
We've talked a lot about new buildings, but what about all the existing structures out there? If we want to hit those net zero targets, we need to get serious about retrofits.
Yeah, definitely.
How is technology changing that aspect of the industry?
Well, that's a great point. Retrofitting existing buildings is crucial for reducing our carbon footprint. But there's a major challenge, and that's the lack of reliable data on these older structures. Unlike new construction with detailed BIM models, many older buildings are like data black holes.
So how do we even know where to start with retrofits if we don't have the right information?
Well, there are some innovative solutions emerging.
Okay.
One example is a platform called BuildAudit that uses AI to combine old architectural plans with modern technology like point cloud scanning and image recognition.
So it's like giving those old buildings a digital checkup.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
This technology allows us to really understand their history, identify potential issues, and plan retrofits much more effectively.
Wow. It's bringing the power of data to buildings that were built long before BIM even existed.
It is.
That's incredible. It seems like data is becoming the foundation for everything in construction, whether we're talking about new buildings or retrofits.
Yeah.
Speaking of foundations, let's talk about the housing crisis.
Yeah.
We're facing this global shortage of affordable housing, and traditional construction methods are really struggling to keep up with demand.
Right.
What innovations are being explored to address this challenge?
Well, the housing crisis is a complex problem with no easy solutions. Yeah. But technology is playing a key role in developing some new approaches.
Okay.
Traditional construction is often slow, expensive, and labor-intensive. And while modular construction has been proposed as a solution,
Yeah.
it's faced its own set of challenges in terms of scalability and cost-effectiveness.
I've read that smart robots powered by AI are emerging as a potential solution.
Yes, that's a very exciting development. One of the articles highlights a startup called AURR that's pioneering microfactories with these adaptable robots.
Okay.
And these robots can handle the variability in housing production that traditional modular systems have struggled with.
Can you explain a little more about how these adaptable robots work and what makes them different?
Sure. Traditional modular systems, they're often limited by rigid designs and standardized components. And this makes it really difficult to adapt to different site conditions, architectural styles, or even individual preferences. These new robots are much more flexible.
Okay.
They can be programmed to handle a wider range of designs, materials, and building processes.
So could we see these microfactories being deployed in existing facilities or even on construction sites for just-in-time production?
That's the vision.
Yeah.
This approach could significantly reduce costs and lead times,
Wow.
making affordable housing much more attainable.
This is definitely an area to watch closely.
It is.
I'm curious to see how this technology develops and what impact it has on the housing crisis. Now let's move on to something a little different, stadiums.
Okay.
You've included an article about how we can rethink the way we design these massive structures.
Yeah, stadiums are often these isolated behemoths that only really come alive on game day.
Right.
But what if they were designed as more integrated parts of the city, places that could be used and enjoyed year-round?
That's a fascinating idea. How are architects and urban planners trying to make that happen?
One of the articles highlights the work of Future Places Studio.
Mm-hmm.
It's an organization that's advocating for a new approach to stadium design.
Okay.
They envision stadiums as these versatile 365-day hubs of community activity,
Wow.
seamlessly woven into the urban fabric.
What would that look like in practice?
Well, think about incorporating elements like colorful street art, climbing walls,
Yeah.
water features rooftop gardens, even farmers markets.
That's amazing.
These spaces could also be designed to incorporate renewable energy and green walls, making them more sustainable and environmentally friendly.
It's a completely different way of thinking about these spaces.
Yeah.
Instead of just concrete behemoths, they could become vibrant public spaces that contribute to the life of the city.
It's a shift from thinking about stadiums as single-purpose venues to thinking about them as destinations that offer something for everyone,
Right.
regardless of whether there's a game happening or not.
And speaking of destinations, let's take a closer look at how digital twins are being used to manage and optimize building operations.
Okay.
You've included an article that talks about how they're moving beyond just visualization and becoming more about performance and analysis.
Right. One of the big debates around digital twins is whether they're just hype or if they're truly transformative. And this article argues that they're moving into this new phase where their value is being proven in these real-world applications.
So what are some of the specific ways that digital twins are being used to improve building performance?
One of the key applications is in energy management. Digital twins can be used to monitor energy consumption in real time, identify areas where energy is being wasted,
Right.
and optimize systems to reduce overall consumption. And this is particularly important as buildings become more complex and energy efficiency becomes a top priority.
So it's almost like giving the building X-ray vision to see where energy is being wasted.
Yeah. And the beauty of it is that digital twins can also be used to simulate different scenarios
Oh, wow.
and test out potential solutions before they're implemented in the real world.
So it's like having a virtual testing ground for your building.
That's a good way to put it.
That's incredible. It seems like digital twins are moving from being just a cool visualization tool to being a powerful tool for problem solving and optimization.
I agree.
But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the impact of AI on the workforce.
Okay.
There's been a lot of discussion about how AI could potentially disrupt jobs in the construction industry.
Right.
So what have you found in your research?
Well, AI is often seen as this potential job disruptor, but I think it's important to look at the nuances. One of the reports you've included from the law firm Denton's suggests that AI is going to change how we work, not necessarily eliminate jobs altogether.
So it's not about robots replacing humans.
Right.
It's about humans and robots working together.
Exactly. The report highlights that AI can handle those repetitive tasks and data analysis,
Right.
which frees up humans to focus on the more strategic and creative work.
That makes sense. I can see how that could actually lead to more job satisfaction and a more engaged workforce.
It's a shift toward a more collaborative model, where humans and AI work together to achieve better outcomes.
But the report also acknowledges that there will be challenges.
Right? Of course, adapting to new technologies and workflows always requires upskilling and a willingness to embrace change.
Right.
And there will be a learning curve for everyone involved.
But overall, it seems like the potential benefits of AI outweigh the risks.
Well, the report is cautiously optimistic. They believe that AI has the potential to make the construction industry more efficient, productive, and ultimately more rewarding for the people who work in it.
Okay, let's dive into a specific example of how AI and data are being used to improve sustainability in construction.
Okay.
You've included an article about a platform called Build Audit that's being used for net zero retrofits. Can you tell us more about this platform and how it works?
Sure, Build Audit is a great example of how technology can be used to overcome the challenges of retrofitting existing buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And as we discussed earlier, one of the biggest hurdles is this lack of reliable data on these older structures.
Right.
And Build Audit tackles this problem head-on by using AI to combine old architectural plans with modern technology, like point cloud scanning and image recognition.
So it's like creating a digital puzzle of the building's history.
Exactly. By piecing together this information, Build Audit can generate this detailed digital model of the building,
Mm-hmm.
which can then be used to assess its condition,
Right.
plan upgrades, and ensure that those retrofits are truly effective.
So it's not just about making buildings more sustainable, it's about making the entire retrofit process more efficient and data-driven.
Right. Build Audit also has the potential to be used throughout a building's entire life cycle.
Oh, wow.
Not just for retrofits, it could be used for maintenance renovations and even eventual deconstruction.
It's a fascinating example of how technology is helping us to create a more circular and resource-efficient construction industry.
I think so. Till systems are definitely more efficient, but they're also more complex and expensive.
Right.
The choice of which system to use really depends on a lot of factors.
Yeah.
The location of the solar farm, the budget, the desired energy output,
It sounds like there's a lot to consider when designing a solar farm.
There is.
What about the environmental impact of these structures?
Well, the environmental impact of solar farms is generally considered to be low,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still important to consider the materials used and the manufacturing processes involved. Steel production can be energy intensive.
Right.
So it's important to source steel from manufacturers who are committed to using sustainable practices.
It's all about taking that holistic approach to sustainability.
It is.
Okay, you also included a recap of UK Construction Week 2024 in your stack.
Uh-huh.
We talked about some of the key themes that emerged from the event,
Yeah.
but I'd love to hear more about the specific sessions and exhibits that you found interesting.
Oh, there were so many great sessions and exhibits. It's hard to choose just a few.
I bet.
One of the sessions that really stood out to me was a presentation by David Gawley of Pentagon Solutions.
Okay.
And he talked about the importance of data in construction and how access to the right data can dramatically improve productivity.
Data is definitely becoming the lifeblood of the construction industry.
It is.
What were some of the key takeaways from his presentation?
Well, he really emphasized the need for construction companies to embrace data-driven decision-making
Mm-hmm.
and to invest in the technologies and systems that will allow them to collect, analyze, and share data effectively.
Right.
He also talked about the importance of using data to improve collaboration and communication
Uh-huh.
between the various stakeholders involved in construction projects.
It's all about using data to break down silos and create a more integrated and efficient construction process.
Absolutely. Another session that I found really interesting was a panel discussion on the future of work in construction.
Okay.
The panelists discussed the impact of automation and digital technologies on the workforce
Right.
and how the industry needs to adapt to these changes.
What were some of the key insights from that discussion?
Well, they talked about the need for the industry to invest in upskilling and retraining programs to prepare workers for the jobs of the future.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They also emphasized the importance of creating a more inclusive and diverse workforce to attract the best talent.
Diversity and inclusion are essential for the long-term success of any industry. It's great to hear that those topics were being addressed at UK Construction Week. Okay, let's shift gears again and talk about another project that you found interesting.
Okay.
Eglinton Place, the high-density residential development in Dublin that we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
You mentioned that they use digital tools to improve collaboration and problem-solving.
Yeah.
Can you give us some more specific examples of how they did that?
Well, one of the key benefits of using BIMX, the visualization tool they used,
Mm-hmm.
was that it allowed them to identify potential clashes between different building systems early on in the design process.
Okay.
For example, they were able to identify a clash between the ductwork and the structural beams,
Oh, wow.
which they were then able to resolve before construction began.
So that saved them a lot of headaches down the road.
Oh, definitely. It saved them time and money, and it prevented potential delays.
Yeah, it's much easier and less expensive to fix problems in the virtual world than in the real world.
Exactly. They also used BIMX to improve communication with the subcontractors who were working on the project.
Yeah.
They were able to share the model with the subcontractors
Mm-hmm.
and give them access to the information they needed, which helped to reduce errors and improve coordination.
It sounds like Bopdex was an invaluable tool for this project.
It was.
Okay, let's move on to another important topic, fire safety.
Right.
You've included an article about a project where they used LiDAR to create a digital twin of a building to assess its fire safety.
Right.
Can you tell us more about how LiDAR was used in this project and what the benefits were?
Sure. LiDAR is an incredibly powerful tool for creating these accurate 3D models of buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's becoming increasingly popular for use in fire safety assessments.
Okay.
In this particular project, they used LiDAR to scan a student accommodation building to identify potential fire hazards.
Uh-huh.
And the LiDAR scan revealed several areas where fire-stopping materials were missing or improperly installed.
It's like having X-ray vision for your building.
Yeah. The digital twin allowed the team to see things that they wouldn't have been able to see with a traditional visual inspection.
Yeah.
And they were then able to use this information to develop a plan to remediate the fire hazards and make the building safer.
It's a great example of how technology can be used to improve safety in the construction industry. Okay, let's revisit the topic of the housing crisis.
Okay.
We've talked about a few different technological approaches to addressing this challenge,
Mm-hmm.
but what about the role of policy and regulation?
Right.
You've included an article that discusses the need for governments to adopt policies that encourage innovation and support the development of new housing solutions.
Yeah. Government policies and regulations can have a huge impact on the construction industry.
Right.
And they play a critical role in addressing the housing crisis.
Mm-hmm.
This article argues that governments need to adopt policies that encourage innovation, reduce red tape, and streamline the approval process for new housing projects.
So it's about making it easier to build, not harder.
Exactly. One example is zoning reform.
Okay.
Many cities have these outdated zoning regulations that make it really difficult to build new housing, especially affordable housing.
Right.
Reforming these regulations could make it easier for developers to build the types of housing that are needed in urban areas.
Okay, another example.
Another example is investing in infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
The lack of adequate infrastructure, such as roads, public transportation, and utilities,
Right.
can make it difficult to develop new housing in certain areas.
Yeah.
Investing in infrastructure can make these areas more attractive for development
Okay.
and help to increase the supply of housing.
So it's a multifaceted problem that requires a multifaceted approach.
It is.
Okay, let's shift gears and talk about a topic that's near and dear to my heart, the use of AI to enhance the design process.
Right.
We talked about this earlier,
Yeah.
but I'd love to dive a bit deeper into the specific ways that AI is being used to improve design accuracy and efficiency.
Sure. AI is becoming an invaluable tool for architects and engineers,
Mm-hmm.
helping them to design buildings that are more efficient, sustainable, and aesthetically pleasing.
Okay.
And one of the key ways that AI is being used is in generative design.
All right, we touched on this earlier,
We did.
but I think it's worth revisiting because it's such a powerful tool.
I agree.
Can you remind us how generative design works?
Sure. Generative design is a process where designers input their design goals and constraints into an AI system.
Mm-hmm.
And the system then generates a range of design options that meet those criteria.
Okay.
For example, a designer could input the desired square footage.
Mm-hmm.
The site constraints, the energy efficiency, targets the budget.
Right.
And the AI system would then generate a number of different building designs that meet those requirements.
So it's like having an army of virtual designers working for you around the clock.
That's one way to think about it.
I like that.
The designer can then review the different options and choose the one that best meets their needs.
What are some of the benefits of using generative design?
Well, one of the biggest benefits is that it allows designers to explore a much wider range of design options than they could on their own. And this can lead to more innovative and creative designs that would not have been possible without the use of AI.
It's like expanding the boundaries of what's possible in design.
Exactly. Generative design can also help to improve the efficiency of the design process.
Uh-huh.
By automating certain tasks, designers can free up their time to focus on the more creative and strategic aspects of design.
So it's about using AI to augment human creativity, not to replace it.
Absolutely. Generative design is a tool that can help designers to work smarter, not harder.
That's a great way to put it. Okay, let's move on to another topic that's been generating a lot of buzz in the construction industry. The use of digital twins to optimize building operations.
Look.
We talked about this earlier in the context of energy management.
We did.
But digital twins can be used to improve a wide range of building operations,
Right.
from security and access control to maintenance and space utilization.
Digital twins are becoming increasingly sophisticated
Mm-hmm.
and are being used to manage buildings more efficiently and effectively. They can be used to monitor building systems in real time,
Uh-huh.
identify potential problems before they occur, and optimize the performance of building systems.
So it's like having a virtual command center for your building.
Exactly. Digital twins can also be used to simulate different scenarios,
Okay.
such as a power outage or a fire,
Right.
which can help building managers to develop emergency preparedness plans and to test different responses.
It's like having a crystal ball that can help you to predict and prepare for potential problems.
That's a good analogy. Digital twins can also be used to improve the occupant experience
Okay.
by providing real-time information about building conditions,
Mm-hmm.
such as temperature, air quality, and occupancy levels.
So digital twins can make buildings not only more efficient, but also more comfortable and user-friendly.
Exactly. They're a powerful tool for creating buildings that are better for the environment, better for the occupants, and better for the bottom line.
Right.
Yeah, and it can really help them to understand the design better and make more informed decisions.
It's like being able to step inside the blueprints.
Exactly. AR, on the other hand, overlays digital content onto the real world.
Okay.
So this can be used to provide workers with real-time information about the construction site,
Mm.
like the location of utilities or the installation instructions for building components.
So instead of having to, consult paper blueprints, workers can have all the information they need right there in front of them.
That's the idea. VR and AR are powerful tools that can help to improve communication, collaboration, and training in the construction industry.
Yeah, it sounds like they have the potential to revolutionize the way we build.
They do. VR and AR are still in the early stages of adoption in the construction industry, but they're rapidly gaining popularity.
Mm-hmm.
As the technology continues to develop and the costs come down, we can expect to see VR and AR being used on more and more construction projects.
Okay, let's shift gears now and talk about a topic that's becoming increasingly important in the construction industry, robotics. You've included an article that discusses the different types of robots that are being used in construction and the impact they're having on the industry.
Yeah, robots are becoming more and more common on construction sites.
Mm-hmm.
They're being used to perform a wide range of tasks, from bricklaying and welding to demolition and excavation.
So are robots taking over the jobs of construction workers?
Not necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Robots are being used to automate tasks that are dangerous, repetitive, or difficult for humans to perform.
Okay.
And this can help to improve safety, productivity, and efficiency.
So robots are working alongside human workers.
In many cases, yes. Robots can handle the heavy lifting and the repetitive tasks,
Uh-huh.
freeing up human workers to focus on more skilled and specialized work.
It's about finding the right balance between human skills and automation.
Exactly. Robots are a powerful tool that can help to improve the construction industry.
Right.
But it's important to remember that they're just tools.
Mm-hmm.
They need to be used in a way that complements and enhances the skills of human workers.
Okay, let's move on to another topic that's becoming increasingly important in the construction industry, artificial intelligence.
Right.
We've talked about AI throughout this episode,
Yeah.
but I'd like to focus now on the specific ways that AI is being used to improve safety in the construction industry.
Okay.
You've included an article that discusses how AI is being used to identify potential safety hazards and to prevent accidents.
AI is being used in a number of ways to improve safety in the construction industry.
Okay.
One way is to use AI-powered cameras to monitor construction sites.
Mm-hmm.
These cameras can detect unsafe conditions, such as workers not wearing proper safety equipment or working in hazardous areas.
So it's like having a virtual safety inspector on the job site.
Exactly.
Right.
AI can also be used to analyze data from wearable sensors to identify workers who are at risk of injury.
Okay.
For example, AI can be used to detect fatigue or to identify workers who are lifting heavy objects incorrectly.
So it's about using data to identify potential risks before they lead to accidents.
Right? AI can also be used to develop training programs that are tailored to the specific needs of individual workers.
So it's about using AI to personalize safety training.
Exactly. AI is a powerful tool that can be used to make construction sites safer for everyone.
Okay, let's shift gears now and talk about a topic that's becoming increasingly important in the construction industry, sustainability.
Right.
We've talked about sustainability throughout this episode,
Right.
but I'd like to focus now on the role of government in promoting sustainability in the construction industry.
Okay.
You've included an article that discusses the different policies and regulations that governments are using to encourage sustainable building practices.
Yeah, governments play a critical role in promoting sustainability in the construction industry.
Hmm.
And they can do this through a variety of mechanisms, such as building codes, tax incentives, and subsidies.
So what are some examples of building codes that promote sustainability?
Well, many cities and countries have adopted building codes that require new buildings to meet certain energy efficiency standards.
Mhm.
These codes often provide incentives for builders to exceed the minimum requirements.
So it's about setting a baseline for sustainability.
Exactly. Governments can also provide tax incentives to encourage builders to use sustainable building materials
Hmm.
or to install renewable energy systems.
So it's about making it financially attractive to build green.
Right. Governments can also provide subsidies to support the development of new sustainable building technologies.
It's about investing in the future of sustainable construction.
Exactly. Governments have a number of tools at their disposal to promote sustainability in the construction industry.
Right.
And by using these tools wisely, they can help to create a more sustainable built environment.
So what does this all mean? It's been quite a deep dive into the world of construction, and we've covered a lot of ground.
We have. We've seen how the industry is being reshaped by technology sustainability concerns and the need to address global challenges like the housing crisis.
Yeah, we've gone from AI designing buildings to robots on job sites, from digital twins that manage energy to the reimagining of stadiums as vibrant community hubs.
It's clear that the future of construction isn't just about bricks and mortar.
Right.
It's about data innovation and a whole new way of thinking.
As you continue exploring these trends, remember that question we posed at the start. What will make a building truly future-proof in the coming decade?
Will it be about adaptability,
Mhm.
self-sufficiency, its connection to the community, or something we haven't even considered yet?
That's for you to ponder. Let us know what you think.